Hello dear students, welcome to Pen and Paper Chemistry on YouTube. The topic that we are taking up and starting with in this series of videos is hydrogen peroxide on the request of one of the subscribers. So get your pen and paper ready to take down some interesting notes which will come in handy, especially when you are offline. We start with the formula of hydrogen peroxide as H2O2. So if you notice, it is a compound which has an extra oxygen. And it is this extra oxygen which makes it as a very, very useful compound, because hydrogen peroxide acts as a bleaching agent, it acts as an oxidizing agent, and because of the extra oxygen, it is also used as a source of oxygen, hence used as a rocket fuel. More of this later. Let us start with the physical properties of hydrogen peroxide. The relative molecular mass of hydrogen peroxide can easily be calculated with the help of the atomic masses. When we talk about physical properties, so we are going to talk about color. As a liquid, it is light blue, very light blue in color, but it's a thick, syrupy liquid. Why is it a thick, syrupy liquid? Meaning to say it is very viscous. It's actually heavier than water. So if you notice, its relative density is 1.44. It's 1.44 times heavier than an equal volume of water in the liquid state. When in the solution form, it is colorless. That's how you usually see it when we use it in domestic purposes as a bleaching agent, right? It is very easily soluble in water, alcohol and ether. Taste is slightly bitter. Okay, you won't like the taste of it. Melting point. Melting point of hydrogen peroxide is 272.4 Kelvin compared to that of ice, which is 273 Kelvin. You see, they are close but not equal. Compare the boiling point. The boiling point of of water is 373 Kelvin, whereas that of hydrogen peroxide is 423 Kelvin. But before this boiling point is reached, actually, hydrogen peroxide undergoes thermal decomposition. It breaks down in the presence of heat to give you water and oxygen. So how do we achieve this boiling point? This can only be achieved by boiling it at low pressure, where the boiling point increases. These values will come in handy when we talk about the purification of hydrogen peroxide in order to convert the dilute form to the concentrated form. So please make a note of these as we go on to understand the preparation of hydrogen peroxide. When we say preparation, there's a difference between preparation and manufacture. Preparation means when we are talking about a small, basically, like preparing in the laboratory on a small scale. On the other hand, manufacture means when you're talking about at the industrial level, where you want good product, you want quality product, but at the same time you want to make profit as well, right? So that is why you will find that in most of the compounds there are different methods for preparation and manufacture. When we talk about the preparation of hydrogen peroxide, the fundamental principle behind the whole thing is that a metal peroxide is treated with ice cold dilute acid. The entire reaction is carried out under low temperature conditions, because of which the hydrated salt of the metal will separate out in the form of crystals, because it is insoluble at low temperature. whereas hydrogen peroxide will continue to stay in the form of a liquid. This is where our melting point, freezing point comes in useful. Now, what are the metal peroxides we are going to consider for our preparation? We are going to talk about two processes. First is the Merckx process, where the peroxide that we've used is sodium peroxide. The second is the possibility of using hydrated barium peroxide, right? That is why you see this 8H2O over here. Also note, sodium peroxide is Na2O2, whereas barium peroxide is BaO2. See how we write the formula. Sodium peroxide, peroxide is O2, sodium valency 1, peroxide valency 2. So the formula for sodium peroxide becomes Na2O2. Whereas for barium peroxide, Ba, peroxide 2, barium valency 2, peroxide valency 2. So what does the formula of barium peroxide become? BaO2. So be very careful when you are writing down the formula. For some of you this may be very easy and would be meaningless, but I have seen students making mistakes over here. That is why I am pointing it out. If you are confident in this, very good. Let's go ahead. In the Merckx process, first one, we prepare from sodium peroxide. So sodium peroxide is treated with an ice-cold dilute solution of sulfuric acid. So we've mentioned the temperature conditions as 0 degrees Celsius. So what do is we take dilute sulfuric acid, we take an ice bath, and we have a stirrer. Now this is a setup that I have drawn just to make it easy to understand. Okay, this is not the exact laboratory conditions or the exact laboratory setup. I felt that with the help of a diagram, it is easy to remember, it is easy to recall. That is why I have drawn it over here. So what do is you first cool the dilute H2SO4 in ice so that the temperature becomes around 0 degrees Celsius. Slowly we will add a measured quantity of sodium peroxide in this H2SO4. So what will be the products? Go ahead, try. Let's break it here. Go ahead. Positive with negative, positive with negative. Go ahead, give it a try. So we will have the products over here, Na2SO4 plus hydrogen peroxide will be formed over here. Of course, because we are talking about a cold dilute solution, that means there is water in this. Correct? Then we cool this solution to a lower temperature. With the result, the crystals of hydrated sodium sulfate will separate out. We will decant, that means we will pour out the clear liquid from above, and that clear liquid is 30% pure hydrogen peroxide solution. How do we carry out the second method of preparation? Before I go ahead with that, I want to make sure that you all have your pen and notebook with you. There is no point watching a video and thinking that you will be able to remember everything. It is very, very essential that we practice by writing whatever we are understanding. Practice will increase your confidence in the topic. So if while watching this video you are writing as well, 2 steps of your understanding are already done. You have seen the video, you have imbibed something, at the same time you have written down something. So 3 steps, you've already done the topic 3 times. Don't you think that is good enough to take you 80% of the way? What about the remaining 20%? Yes, that will happen only with the revision. You need to revise as well, right? When we carry out the preparation from barium peroxide, there are certain points you need to remember over here. First, we are going to take hydrated barium peroxide and we have to treat it with a weak dilute acid. So we will answer these questions. Why do we take hydrated barium peroxide? Why not anhydrous barium peroxide? Why are we stressing on the point we'll take a weak dilute acid over here? First of all, the weak dilute acids we can take are phosphoric acid or carbonic acid. Of course, you don't get readily available carbonic acid. What do? You pass carbon dioxide gas through the solution. Let us try and write the reactions. Before I give you the answer, would you like to try predicting the products which will be formed? Go ahead, try it. You can actually break it down. So you have barium peroxide and H3PO4. Split. Positive, negative, positive, negative. Okay, this is so an easy way of understanding. So barium with phosphate, barium phosphate, barium valency 2, phosphate valency 3, cross 2 3, Ba3PO4 whole twice. Isn't that easy? And what about hydrogen and peroxide? So again, hydrogen and peroxide. No, I'm not going to write 3 over here because the atom which we are talking about over here or the ion we are talking about over here is the hydrogen ion. It's just that there are 3 hydrogen ions, right? 1 and 2. Of course, we know the formula of hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. So we go ahead and complete the reaction. We will get Ba3PO4 whole twice plus what we are preparing is hydrogen peroxide, and of course you notice we've got water over here, the hydrated barium peroxide, so we'll get water as also one of the side products. Now pause the video and balance this equation yourself. I have observed a lot of students trying to memorize the balancing. There's no need to memorize. Balancing is very, very easy. If you are not confident about balancing, then there is a separate video on the channel wherein I have clearly taught you how to balance chemical equations. So please feel free to watch that video and also attempt the test video that I have given you or the practice video that I have given you after that. Go ahead. I'm waiting for you to balance this. Done? Okay, let us see. So we'll have 3 over here. We'll have 2. Oh, you want me to explain the balancing to you? Okay, let me do it for you then. Okay, what do we have over here? If you notice, we've got 3 barium, right? Whereas here on the left hand side, we have only 1 barium. So let's put a 3 over here. Come to phosphate. Now there are 2 phosphate over here, whereas there is only 1 phosphate over here. So we will put a 2 over here. Now let us go on to oxygen and hydrogen. So we'll have 3 times 2 is 6 oxygen plus 8 times 3, 24, right? Plus 4 times 2 is 8. So, look at that. So we've got oxygen balanced, oxygen and hydrogen listed on both sides. How do we go about it? Can you help me out in this balancing? So if you see an easy way out over here, I have got water. Let me take water as a whole. 8 times 3 is 24, right? So that means I can put 24 water over here, right? So 24 times 2 is 48, 50 over here. Now the number of hydrogen that I have got over here is 50. Whereas on the left hand side, the total number of hydrogen is 54. So that means I need to make this 2 into 4. How will I make this 2 into 4? Is it like that? Tricky situation, right? But if you notice, we've already catered to the water. Now 3 times 2 is 6. Whereas here I have 2 only. How do I make that 2 into 6? Very correct. So let's put a 3 over there. Now let us see, have we been able to balance the oxygen? Please check it out for me. Hydrogen, 24 times 2 is 48. 48 plus 6. Perfect. It gives me 54. So hydrogen is balanced. Check about oxygen. 4 times 2, 8. 3 times 2, 6. Plus 24. So what do you get over here? 8 plus 6 and plus, now you have 24 over here. Very correct. So we will balance them as radicals, but at the end of it, we also have to check and ensure that each of the atoms is also balanced. So to start off with, this equation looked tricky, right? But with patience, with a cool head, we'll be able to balance it. Now try the second one. You've got hydrated barium peroxide with carbonic acid, that is CO2 and H2O. Now for this, to make it easy, I'll give you a hint over here. Instead of taking CO2 plus water, treat it as H2CO3, that is carbonic acid, right? So you have barium peroxide plus carbonic acid. Again, split it in the same way. But don't forget the valencies. Positive with negative, positive with negative, and of course water. So what will you get over here? You will get barium carbonate plus hydrogen peroxide and of course water, because this is hydrated barium peroxide that you are using. Can you go ahead and balance this equation, please? Good. So if you notice over here, we are getting the barium salt of the compound. If I was using a dilute acid, what happens over here is the barium salt which is formed, it doesn't separate out completely. So let's suppose I was doing barium peroxide with sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Then in that case, we would have gotten barium sulfate plus hydrogen peroxide. Now in this case, the barium sulfate actually does not settle out completely, and some amount of barium ions will remain in the solution. So the hydrogen peroxide that will be formed in such a scenario will have a tendency to undergo decomposition because of the presence of the barium ions. Right? So we have answered one part of the question. Why do we use weak acids? Why not a strong acid like H2SO4 in order to prepare hydrogen peroxide? Because if you've got a strong acid, for example sulfuric acid, what will happen is the barium ions which will be there in the solution because of the formation of barium sulfate will have a tendency to cause the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. Second question. that I had put to you. Why are we taking hydrated barium peroxide? Why are we not taking just barium peroxide? Why have we taken it as 8H2O? Why do we take the hydrated form? Would you like to find out the answer to this question for me? It's something to do with the same reaction. So what we've got is barium peroxide plus H2SO4. Again, we come back to the same thing. It will form the corresponding salt. Now, because this barium peroxide, if it is anhydrous form, the salt will form a deposition over the barium peroxide, the anhydrous form, because that anhydrous form will be powdery in nature. So we've got the anhydrous barium peroxide. We are forming an insoluble precipitate, right, of the corresponding salt, be it barium sulfate, barium phosphate, barium carbonate. Now that precipitate, what will happen is it will deposit over this salt. Now when it deposits over this salt, do you think this salt will be able to react with the acid? No. That is why we are taking this barium peroxide in the form of a hydrated salt, and we will use it as a paste. So if you notice in the previous slide, I have written it as ice cold paste of hydrated barium peroxide to be used. I hope that answers both the questions. Moreover, in most of the textbooks, you would find that they have introduced this particular process by reacting the barium peroxide straight away with sulfuric acid and then going on to say that you should be using phosphoric acid and carbonic acid. I have preferred to do it in the reverse way and write what is actually practically being done. Now that we have completed the reaction, we need to do the steps. So very simple. Whenever you have to write long method, just do it in the form of a chart, and it's very easy to follow and remember. I'll teach you from this chart only that I have drawn. Feel free to copy it so that you can use it later on. You've got ice cold water, which you add to hydrated barium peroxide. Notice again, ice cold. We mix the two, form a thick paste. Now again add ice cold 20% dilute acid, sulfuric acid, phosphoric acid, carbonic acid. So instead of carbonic acid, you'll pass a stream of carbon dioxide gas. The crystals of the salt will precipitate out. Now that salt can be barium sulfate, barium phosphate, or barium carbonate, depending upon what acid you are using. Of course, in order to remove the salt, you will filter it. Salt will be obtained as residue on the filter paper. The filtrate would in turn contain hydrogen peroxide, which is evaporated at reduced pressure. Why reduced pressure? Because we know that at normal pressure conditions, the hydrogen peroxide will undergo thermal decomposition. This is where our knowledge of physical properties comes in handy. And at this reduced pressure, we are able to obtain hydrogen peroxide. Isn't it easy? Now, I would want you to practice writing the equations that we have learnt till now at least 2 times each, and make sure that you don't memorize the balancing. Please practice balancing yourself. And in the next video, we shall be talking about the manufacture of hydrogen peroxide on an industrial scale, which makes sense in terms of cheaper raw materials but higher profits. We shall also be covering properties further on in this series of videos. So please remain subscribed, remain connected, and don't forget to share the channel with friends and classmates to spread the joy of learning. Take care, all of you.